Hello, this is the 44th episode of the Trophy Tour with Wolfsburg, and I've just reached the end of the first half of the season with the winter break friendlies to come. So I'll just give you a quick update of how we're doing in the Bundesliga since we last spoke on that disappointing live com. We're actually in a very promising 5th position, just a few points behind third place Bayern Munich after a good set of results. Unfortunately, we still lost 6 games, which is double that of Dortmund and Schalke, and even 3 times worse than Bayern Munich, but we're still in contention with 9 wins ahead of 1860 Munich. So we're now starting to make a little bit of a gap between us and the mid-table, so I sense improvement from last season's disappointment will be a thing of the past, and it will come true that we'll be even better than before. So let's see what's happened and talk about our fixtures. We're unbeaten. Well, we're only beaten once since this disappointing defeat, the 4-1 thrashing. It was totally, ludicrous, but these things happen. And then a pressure game, we failed to meet our, objectives, and we only managed to draw 0-0 with the re-promoted Werder Bremen. They had an injury early on, but we'd very little chances created, and I was disappointed with the performance. But things improved massively against Frankfurt, and more importantly Bayern Munich yet again. Andreas Kraus scored in the second game, and Alan Ruiz scored his first for the club in that first game I mentioned against Frankfurt. So massive result, and gave us a real springboard. Unfortunately, we were beaten against Borussia Dortmund. Unsurprisingly, it was a one-sided game, as if you've never seen it. Like, they were all over us every single minute. They were all creating chances, and their passing was free for flowing and brilliant. So I can't really explain what happened. Unfortunately, Mkhitaryan picked up an injury for them, but he's starting to return to fitness. Just the one goal was all that they needed. It was a good team goal, but it was kind of an error on our part. And then an absolutely disgusting way to lose against Bayern Munich. It was an end-to-end game, but the fact that they took 2 goals out of us in the first half, and then we equalised to our super subs Wisniewski and Lang to make it 2-2, and then to lose 12-11 on penalties. It's absolutely just disheartening to lose like that. We're going to get the comeback king achievement for the first time ever, and it was cruelly ripped away from me, and it was one I'll never ever live down, to be honest. We really deserve to do better, and even the goalkeepers got penalties to take, and we were down to 10 men as a result of Bodo Lang's injury. So even the goalkeeper got to take a penalty. Leclerc and Neuer took penalties there. Then we recovered from that disappointment by playing against Hertha Berlin, one of our best performances under my management, as even Eder scored a goal. He continues to struggle, but it was just a one-sided game. We were brilliant in every department, and we deserved that 2-0 win despite Kraus's injury. And then we ended on kind of a sour note, drawing to Kaiserslautern. They took the lead on the 68th minute, and then Kai Wisniewski, another great performance from him coming off the bench to score. So that's pretty much the Bundesliga wrapped up. The finances are pretty poor, actually. We're losing a lot of money, but it's not too bad. It could be much worse. In terms of our tactics, our tactics are still the 4-2-3-1, but Sousa has now been injured, just briefly, but we can train these players back up for the winter break. Yale Diaz has been absolutely terrible. His injury problems are just about gone away, but I've probably mentioned it already. You just see how much he's been injured. He got a hernia before he joined us, and then it all began here with the torn hamstring. He then immediately got a torn calf muscle in his first team appearance again. Then he got a gash leg upon his next return, and then he twisted his ankle in September gone by. So he's only finally starting to realise his potential. But with Sousa being the much better player, I wouldn't be surprised if he failed to live to the his abilities again. He's lost a lot of value, so it may have been a bit of a flop for me there. But in terms of players to talk about, Jean Schmid I think is my top scorer with at least 7 goals. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. No, it's actually a tie between himself and attacking mid/striker Andreas Kraus. They have 5. Wisniewski and Eder, They're tied for 3 goals with Sousa also on that landmark. Villa has 2, Lang, Antonio, Pabor, Gronland, Tribal, Schmelzer, Ruiz, Fabrini all have 1. In terms of our goalkeeper situation, it's been very one-sided in recent weeks as where is he? Marius Gershbeck. He's been sensational these last couple of weeks, but unfortunately got the bruised shin and ended up not being able to play anymore, so he very rarely conceded any goals in comparison to Remy Leclerc, who was upset he wasn't getting enough game time, but he was superb in the recent game against Kaiserslautern. But we'll have to try and balance my performances between the goalkeepers, because Benaglio unfortunately will be retiring at the end of the season after he should be retiring, to be honest. He's 37, he's not getting any more games, so after wonderful years of service, Diego will have to leave the club. Sergio Antonio has been a brilliant signing. He's scored a goal in his 12 appearances and generally been very solid. He's taken over Vestergaard's position, Ryan Shawcross in partnership, so hopefully Ryan Shawcross can make way for a future defender, but it's unfortunate that Jonathan Tah and Guilherme have been made to sit out, as well as Vestergaard. They are good players, but they don't seem to get their chance, but that's just the way the ball bounces. Schmelzer has been a good signing. I rested him against Kaiserslautern so Henrique could get a game. Henrique has had a decent season, but with injuries he hasn't really had the chance to play. But here's Schmelzer himself, the bargain buy. 6.88 kind of doesn't do him justice. He's had 1 or 2 bad performances, but generally he's been brilliant, and even scored a sensational goal against 1860 Munich. Adair, I've mentioned him already. His value is continuing to grow despite his lack of goal scoring form, but if he can finally find his ability to score, I think he will be the value for money that I hoped he'd be. Andreas Kraus, I cannot believe how good he is. He scored 5 goals in 9 appearances plus 5 substitute appearances. He's already got some absolutely marvellous stats, including the finishing, determination, passing, technique. Just the physical game is not as good as it could be, and his composure is brilliant as well. So we gave him a nice long-term contract, and that'll keep him happy, I'm sure. Tom Tribal and Christoph Kramer have been my favourite midfielders this season. They've been very good or average for most of their games. They're very rarely bad. Branko Pabor was the unfortunate omission, as he's had injury problems and he's kind of lost his spot. Lucas Rupp hasn't really had a chance either. Nahuen Avila, I haven't seen much of in recent weeks, but he hasn't been brilliant, but hopefully he picks that up. Lennart Dietwald, he graduated from the youth system and he's played a few times and he's been decent. And Luis Gustavo, of course, he really should have been able to leave, but no one wants to buy him, probably because of his terrible wages, so that's disappointing. Falk Gronland, haven't mentioned him much. He probably, if only Andreas Kraus had his physicals, they'd be really laughing. But he is a decent player, but he doesn't really score goals, so that's quite frustrating. Bodo Lang, he was the top scorer in the 2 Bundesliga last season for Werder Bremen, but he's yet to score for me in the league, just the 1 goal in the cup. Juan Martinez hasn't really had his great season. He's probably not quite ready for this level, but he was great last season, so hopefully we'll fit him in. But certainly, where is he? Schmid, he was able to play right back in the absence of Nyam, so everywhere he's played he's been really good, and I can't be any happier with that. And that's probably about it for the player roundup. But actually Alan Ruiz, he was injured for when I first got him, and he's only just coming back in. He was very upset he wasn't getting games, but now he's starting to get games, and that's great news. So yeah, that's okay for now. We'll talk about our winter break. We've got some good friendlies coming up against Atlas, Toulouse, Botafogo and Au before we return to duty against Hanover, Nuremberg, Freiburg, Stuttgart and etc. We were brilliant in 4 of those first 5 games. That saved my job, so if we can get 12 to 15 points in that set of fixtures again, that'll be superb. It'll be the likes of Schalke, Munich or Bayern and Dortmund to watch out for, and of course Leverkusen. We really need to start beating those teams above us more often than not. And obviously there's no real transfer news to talk about. I mentioned in the last episode just one or two players gone out on loan, such as Utz, Grossmünchen and Gerhard Pauli, not really getting their chance. In terms of players we've let go, Josie Altidore even scored against us, and he's now injured, so that was really annoying. And Admir Mehmedi is having a very good time in Russia, so I'm glad he's making a career for himself again. My confidence report is pretty good actually. It's secure at 55%, and my job status is still weak due to the short-term contract. But yeah, that's pretty much it, lads. We'll come back hopefully at the start of February or March, when of course I can start uploading again. We have a long way to go on this season, but hopefully we will get some continental football back at the Volkswagen Arena. So until next time, goodbye for now, everybody.